Afternoon, everybody. It's a Turnbuckle Bandwagon. My name is Matt D. My guest today, you've seen her on Limitless Wrestlings The Road. She's the captain of the Scrunchie Squad. Becca, what's up?
Hey everyone. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You've kind of people have come to know you on the road. But you're someone who's fairly newish to the wrestling world. I kind of curious about like your background and your training and
Sure, yeah. I started training sorry, I'm not even gonna try to do the math right now. It was like April of 2019.
okay.
March, April of 2019. And I started training at the Belltime Club.
Okay.
And I trained there for about 7 months. Then I started training at New England Pro Wrestling Academy, which is where I train now, to this day. And I had my first, I started to do like rumbles and like battle royals and like tags in like November, December of 2019. And then I started wrestling singles in January of this year.
Oh wow. Fairly it's been just the start of the journey. Bell time, I believe Alec Price came out of there.
Yep.
And have had him on before. He's interesting to talk to, fun guy. New England Pro Wrestling, New England Pro Wrestling Academy has, a lot of notable alum that have come out of there. Christian Casanova and your opponent, Limitless Cup, or Vacation Cup, I'm sorry, Davienne. It seems to be New England Pro Wrestling Academy seems to be kind of one of those places very much in line with Creator Pro where they set you up for success. And what's kind of the environment for anyone who may be curious about training? What's the environment like there for setting you up for success and making sure you have all the necessary tools?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, of course, because I train there, but I think it's the best school. Yeah, so the environment, I would say it's like, it is intense, but it's also very supportive. So I can't really speak to what like the beginner classes are like, because with the pandemic, everything is very split up. Pre-pandemic, it was very common for like beginner and like advanced classes to run kind of at the same time, and so you kind of get to see everyone and see what everyone was doing. Now it's like harder to say because I only see like a select group of people, but I do know that the beginner classes, the students there, from what I've read from our like online group chats and such, seem to be really enjoying it. But yeah, the advanced class, it's typical for us to, we do like some athletic training, some like blow up drills, to try to like get everyone moving and like in shape. And I love the blow up drills. I think they're so fun, like the cardio. It's so much better than running on a treadmill. It's so treadmill running is so boring.
Yeah.
And so to like get in the ring and like roll around and jump, and it's just so much fun. And then we'll do kind of like some like grappling or training, like learning maybe like some new moves or stuff like that. And then we'll do class matches. So it's like a typical day, but it varies a lot. One thing that I like really love about NEPWA is that the trainers really like pay attention to what the students want to learn and need to work on. So it's very common for the trainers to be like, we're going to watch one of your matches, and then depending on like things that I notice in the match you need to work on, we're going to like work on that for this class, which is awesome. And I think it's really beneficial. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it's good.
Great environment.
Now, in terms of, you said you love blow up drills. Not everybody likes cardio. You seem to be okay with. What's like? Is there a particular like drill or exercise or thing that you don't like, that you dislike doing? Like when they say, "All right, let's do this," you're just like, "Ugh."
We do these drills called crisscross, which is like where you have like one person on one side of the ring and the other on like the other, and you both just like run and hit the ropes. And sometimes you do it like 10 times, sometimes you do it for like a couple minutes or like until they tell you to stop.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so boring because you just run back and forth, like you don't do anything. So it's like you have to like focus so you're like timed correctly with the other person, but beyond that it like doesn't really take much like mental capacity or like
Okay.
thinking. So
You need to be you need to be challenged a little bit.
yeah, I feel like when you're focused on trying to like do something, you forget that you're doing exercise. So you can like trick yourself.
Awesome. That seems to work. What's if you don't mind me asking, like what's your do you come from an athletic background, like played sports in school or anything like that?
Yeah, so I did I played like hockey in high school. I did gymnastics when I was younger. Um, and in college I played water polo and I did powerlifting.
Okay. I kind of figured when I first caught matches, I'm like, I was trying to guess. I was thinking like hockey, basketball, something like that.
I wanted to
And
try basketball, but never happened.
it's fun. Talk to Alec Price. If he's always looking for something to play with. So you guys will find a court somewhere and go at it. Now with the road, you know, you started on the first season 1, I believe, of the road. What was that like to kind of, because we're in COVID and we're in this weird environment, you know, what's it like to walk in, have these matches, but like it's a very small kind of audience and environment, and still trying to sort yourself out in the ring with kind of who you are and who you want people to see out there?
I think it's a little challenging because, you know, a live audience does kind of give you some like spontaneity and like can create like an environment, like you're saying, where you can kind of figure yourself out a little more. The road, though, I mean, the energy is so positive at those tapings and like supportive. I think, I mean, first of all, I was just really grateful to be able to wrestle during the pandemic and like somewhere also that I felt safe. And so that just automatically is exciting on its own. And then also the audience is it is other wrestlers,
Yeah.
but they do react, you know, I think genuinely and like I think it's a great environment. Yeah, I'm like very grateful to have been on the road starting at the pandemic at the dojo series. Yeah, I think like considering how new I am, it's been a really great place for me to like grow, try things out, and like get support from wrestlers who've been around for a while and who like want to see me do well. So it's been great.
That's how it is. There seems to be this change, and I've been watching wrestling for a long time. You know, I'd say 10 or so, 15 or so years ago in the independent scene, it was very, I don't know if cutthroat's the right word, but it was very like, I'm worried about my stuff at my spot, and I'm really not trying to help anybody else. Now it seems to be very much like a collaborative, like if you do well, we do well, we do well, everyone does well. Like rising tide lifts all boats. And I think it's great to see that, because I think your generation and the generation kind of before have learned from those past mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen what being selfish and being self-centered gets you, and it doesn't get you far. But when you're in a good place, it gets you noticed, and it gets everybody noticed. And you know, it's a good time for a good time for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like even, you know, regardless of the effect that it has on your career, like would you rather show up to a show and have like a good time with a bunch of people, or do you want to like show up and like have a bad time? Like I always want to have a good time and like make friends and you know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's better all around.
And one of the ways when you kind of were getting your name out there was kind of at the start of this pandemic, like April, May, June, with all your content with Coach Bex and Quarantine, which I was a very huge fan of. I love stuff like that. I would assume that something like Coach Bex maybe comes from you or from people you know in life. You just kind of compile them, and you always have that one coach that's a little too intense.
I'm trying to think where that came from. I honestly think that's just like my inner like monologue when I'm working out,
Trying to stay motivated.
being like, keep going, don't stop.
And quarantine B's just when we're all just in like kind of that malaise state of like, I'm so done.
Yeah.
Um,
losing my mind, truly.
it's like, why am I doing anything? You get in that ennui existential crisis place.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't want to do anything anymore. And it worked out because like the job I had, I was let go right at the beginning, at the first week of April. So all I had to do during the day outside of doing yard work was like bounce around the internet, and I'm seeing all these different matches, and I'm seeing the road stuff, what's going on, the pandemic at the dojo, and I'm following all of that and seeing all these new faces like yourself, like Love Doug, oh that guy, and Doug, if you watch this, I think you're great. It's just, it's so different. What's it like to like deal with that?
It's a lot. Doug is a lot to deal with. Yeah, I feel like a marriage proposal, your like first time locking up with someone is like, it's a lot. But I think Doug, I think at his core, he just like wants people to love him, and he like doesn't give up, so gotta give him that.
One of the first times I saw him was at a Western Mass show. It was one of their first matches, and he comes out, and he's starting the cardboard house around, and no one really knew kind of how to react to him. And because no one's, I mean, let's be honest, we have a lot of guys who come out, they come out to like the rock music, or they come out to like, there's a persona that there's a couple, as fans, we're used to seeing. But then when you see this guy who comes out in his red tights with hearts coming out to the Cranberries, you're like, okay, like the fan brain doesn't know how to receive that.
Yeah, I feel like the wrestler brain doesn't really know either, but I think it's awesome. I think because there's so much, there's so much to do with that. I think it's incredible. Like, he also debuted this year, and everybody knows who he is. And I think like that's great. That's like having great presence and like.
Well, people know who you are too. I mean, when you started, you had a change in gear from Pandemic at the Dojo in season 1 to now. What was kind of the first set of gear? Was it just like throwing something together? Did you have kind of an idea of what you wanted in terms of like the look and the colors and all that?
I always had an idea of what I wanted my gear to look like. Even from like last year, I have my gear like custom made from Astro Sportswear. And so like I design it. My first set of gear, yeah, it's definitely like changed, but also stayed kind of similar. I always knew I kind of wanted to do like like a sporty kind of look. But I think like it's just gotten a little more like colorful and sparkly. And I think like that's just kind of a reflection of me also figuring out like who I am and who I want to be in the ring.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. And so I interviewed MSP last night. I talked with Aiden, Agro, and DK and Danger Kid. And Agro was a little not really upset. I guess you wrestled him at Pandemic at the dojo. And I keep Pandemic at the disco. But it was before like the Scrunchie Squad took off. So he didn't get a chance to be in Scrunchie Squad, and he wants to wrestle you again so he can be in the Scrunchie Squad. He says he didn't appreciate it.
I love MSP, and I would love for them both to be in the Scrunchie Squad. So I'm down.
Nice. What is the genesis of Scrunchie Squad? Was it just an idea? Because when you started throwing it around, I'm like, all right, makes sense to me. Was it just kind of just something off the cuff, or?
So Scrunchie Squad actually, this is the origin story. NCW Women's Rumble in March, like literally maybe a week before everything shut down. It was me, Paris Van Dale, Armani Chaos, and Little Mean Kathleen. So Armani was accompanying Paris to the ring, and we were kind of like taking over the Rumble as like the baddies, and we were like, NCW was like a great environment, and it's like the crowd is super fun, so I feel like you can try things out.
Mhm.
There's also like 5 people there because it was like a week before everything shut down, so the stakes were very low. And me and Paris and Kathleen were like, we were all wearing scrunchies, and so it was like, what if we like beat up everyone else because they're not wearing scrunchies, and like that's why we hate them, because they like won't join our club. So that's like the origination. That's not a word.
It can be a word. It's fine.
It is now. That is where the Scrunchie Squad originated. And after that, I think I just like started to like push it on my social media because I thought it was hilarious. And I already wore scrunchies all the time anyways. And so I just like kind of morphed into like a part of my identity.
And it's great. I mean, I just, as you know, I'm a bit older, but like I remember scrunchies being a thing like when I was a teenager, and now they seem to be back, which is fine because it's a pandemic and everyone's just putting their hair up and throwing a scrunchie in there. Go for it. And I want to mention, you mentioned Little Mean Kathleen. You were part of Northeast Wrestling Studio Wars, you versus Little Mean Kathleen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Connecticut. Northeast Wrestling is kind of like my hometown promotion, so I go to a lot of their shows. Granted, it's not a typical NEW show, but what's it like to be able to go to that environment and be able to perform there?
It was really cool. I mean, at this point in the year, I wasn't really expecting to make any more debuts like during a pandemic. And Northeast Wrestling has, I think, like, you know, a unique fan base. And so I was excited. I mean, before that, I really wanted to wrestle for Northeast Wrestling. I've been to a couple of their shows.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just felt like the crowd is always like really into it, and just had like kind of, yeah, a unique like group of people there that, you know, sometimes you kind of see the same people at a bunch of different shows, but I feel like Northeast Wrestling has like a kind of a specific crowd. So I was excited just to kind of like reach those fans, and like, it's too bad I couldn't like interact with them in person, but to still like be able to debut for Northeast Wrestling was awesome. So
Yeah. I'm a fan. The Bethany shows are always great. I'm a 30-minute drive from Bethany. You know, they do the Waterbury shows. I'm a fairer drive to there, and that energy is very, very different.
mm-hmm.
And MSP had talked about it. I mean, they kind of got booked there on, you know, hey, we have a spot open, drive down. And, you know, the energy is singular. And hopefully when we get back to Bethany, I think Little Miss Kathleen has one match there. I always trying to talk to some people to get more women's matches there, because sometimes it tends to fall by the wayside. But I feel like the growing dearth of women talent, you're a part of that. Davienne's a part of that. Got to get the women on more shows. I mean, give me 2 to 3 women's matches in a show. You've got space.
I hear you.
And then, yeah, on the road, you also wrestled Ashley Vox. She's a part of the Scrunchie Squad now.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
And what was that like to kind of be one-on-one with her?
It was great. Ashley is awesome. Definitely like one of my favorite matches. Super fun to wrestle her. And yeah, it was, I don't even know how to explain it. She's just like, she's really fun to work with. And she's like, I don't know, she's kind of like a silly, goofy person outside of the ring too. So I feel like that kind of like friendship chemistry that we have outside of the ring kind of got brought into our match as well, which I think was part of why it was so fun.
Yeah, you mentioned wrestlers being an audience. It's funny watching like wrestlers watch wrestling. When I've gone to shows, I've seen that. And watching both Ashley and Delmy watch wrestling is kind of an experience within itself.
I feel like I see Delmy in the background of like the road, like standing up a lot.
Yeah,
like she'll just like jump up.
She's very emotive. I was at a show in here in Connecticut in Enfield, and it was a Blitzkrieg Pro show, and she was just there helping out. She wasn't wrestling or anything. And I forget the match, and I think it was Oswald Project and Little Guido against somebody. And when somebody like bent Oswald's leg over, I just heard Dummy like freak out in the corner.
That's a fair reaction.
And you wrestled, and you wrestled Paris Van Dale, your old, is it friend, frenemy, enemy? What's the deal with you in Paris?
It's hard to tell because Paris like is a very sarcastic person.
Okay.
It's like hard to tell sometimes. I think that we're friends.
Okay.
And she used to be in the Scrunchie Squad. Now she's claiming she doesn't like scrunchies.
Yeah, that was I felt that was a little harsh. She kind of like threw it down, like, like scrunchies are for like lowers, and I'm like, that's aggressive. It's aggressive.
Yeah, I think she's like trying too hard to hate on them,
But deep inside is charter member of the Scrunchie Squad.
Exactly.
We know Paris. We know it's okay. It's okay. It's in there, but it's okay. And now coming up at the Vacation Land Cup, you're in one of the non-tournament matches. I'm specifying because there's great matches on this card. Just you're not in the tournament matches, but you are competing against Davienne. I believe you've wrestled Davie before.
Yes, me and Davie, we wrestled at WSU before the pandemic. Surprisingly, we haven't faced each other on the road yet.
Yeah, it's kind of that. Your first match, how do you feel that match went? Because Davienne's kind of I'll openly admit I'm a fan. I've got a Top Dog shirt on. I love Davie. So, and this wasn't purpose. It was just, I need a shirt.
I have my Davienne shirt around here, so I can pull it out.
Davie, we love you. Yeah, wrestling. I mean, she's what's that energy like being in the ring with her and knowing when that bell rings, she just goes, she just turns it on and comes at you.
Does not mess around. I love wrestling Davie. She kicks my ass. It's awesome. And yeah, it's like definitely intense because Davienne is intense in the ring, which is like incredible. The first time I faced her, it was actually me and Paris Paris was my manager. I had managed her match and then she managed my match. Okay. See, this frenemy thing goes way back.
It goes. Paris, it's okay. Come back to Scrunchie Squad. It's okay.
Yes, exactly. But I actually ended up wrestling Davienne for the WSU Spirit Championship belt, which I was not expecting to do. And it was a wild match. Right off the bat, Paris pushed me into Davie. And that's how the match started. Because I was a little nervous about it, and she was like, "No, you're doing this," and just shoved me. So it was intense, but I feel like I've grown a lot. I have grown a lot as a wrestler since that was February, I think.
Okay.
And so I feel like our match at Vacation Land Cup it looks a lot different than that first match. And I think like a big part of that is just like now I feel like I'm a little more established in my own mind, just like who I am, and like confident, and I feel like that's reflected in the match. So
nice. I look forward to it. I said I've become a fan of yours. I've been a fan of Davie, but I've seen when that bell rings, like she changes, and then it's just full speed ahead, and you better stop her before she stops you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And looking at have you kind of eyeballed any of like the Vacation Land Cup matches? Is there any particular one that you were looking forward to or looking forward to seeing or?
I'm really excited to see I think it's like the opening round, Lee Moriarty versus Daniel Garcia.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for that. I'm a fan of Lee Moriarty. I think he's awesome. And so fingers crossed. I mean, I like Daniel Garcia too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess whoever wins that, it's gonna make a great
Yeah.
tournament. But
That was that was
that's
the
what I'm
goal.
really excited for.
I mean, and you're just getting going. So as coming into wrestling, like, did you kind of grow up watching kind of like or was there stuff that you sought out younger before getting into wrestling that maybe was inspired, or were you just always a wrestling fan, or?
I actually wasn't really a wrestling
Oh,
fan.
okay.
I I like didn't really know what it was. Like, thought it was kind of weird.
Okay.
Didn't really get it until like a couple of years ago. And I started watching like main roster, like women's wrestling. Sasha Banks and Bailey were like in the midst of their feud, and it
Okay.
like, really pulled me in, which is why they're like two of my favorites to this day, because they basically got me into it. And I was like, I think I've like always enjoyed like body control, like gymnastics. I did some like tumbling, like tumble cheer, and some like dance when I was younger, but I'm like really bad at dancing, so that wasn't good. But I think I've just like always kind of enjoyed that, um and like theater as well, and just like entertaining people, which is like hopefully what I do.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think wrestling fans would be very surprised to find out how many like people in wrestling come from a theater background. It's
Mhm.
I kind of do. I did like backstage production-y stuff, like helping friends out. But the amount of folks I've talked to are like, yo, I did theater in high school. Oh, I did theater in college. And I think fans don't realize how much theater, especially now, has permeated into wrestling.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think like there's just like a lot of opportunity to be creative, and I think like it's just fun. It's more fun if you're like being,
yeah.
goofy, and like I love like character stuff and entertaining people. So
Yeah, give me like the Beccas and the Love Dougs of the world and the Still Life with Apricots and Pears. Give me that stuff, because that's, to me, that's like, oh, it reminds people, oh, wrestling can be fun. It can be fun. You can have a good time.
yeah, exactly.
And I know this is like a loaded question again because you're just getting going. Who are some folks out there you'd love to wrestle? Maybe once we get back to quote unquote normal, like a short list of like two or three people who you'd like to wrestle.
Um, I'd love to wrestle. I mean, I feel like this is a given, but I love to wrestle Chris Stat. She's like an awesome women's wrestler. I mean, awesome wrestler in general. But I think she's great. Masha Slamovich. If she ever comes back from Japan, I don't know.
She lives over. I guess she's been over there since during
Yeah.
the entirety of the pandemic. She was over. I think she was over there already, and then just stayed over there.
Yeah, I've watched some of her stuff for, is it Marvelous?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's teaching people to swear. It's great.
Awesome, yeah. Um, honestly, like I'd love to just keep wrestling Davienne as well. I feel like I learn a ton every time I wrestle her. Ava Everett, I've wrestled her before, but always like so much fun to work with her.
Ava's awesome.
Yeah.
We've got a chance to kind of become like online Twitter friends, but we see her shows in chat, and she's just so, she's like she's like a good, decent, shiny person, and I think that's great.
She's a great person, yeah. I'd love to wrestle Paris again. I feel like, yeah, I kind of said people I already wrestled, but honestly, I mean, there's a lot of great women's wrestling going on right now. Oh, Jody, is it Jody Threat? She is the
Yeah.
skateboard.
Yes.
I've watched some of her stuff, and I'd love to wrestle her. She looks really intense, so I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, Jude, I've seen her at a number of shows like Beyond shows and stuff. And this kind of, when the pandemic hit, it's like, yeah, there are people that were wrestling and on a good groove, but there are folks like yourself who are like just getting going. And, you said it is being able to wrestle during this kept you like in the right headspace to make it through this, which is great.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel very fortunate to have been able to wrestle during it.
Nice. Now, as far as do you have anything else that you're doing, or I don't know how bookings are going, or like people reaching out saying, hey, come wrestle at this thing or that thing? Because I know people are trying to do smaller shows or do like studio taping type stuff.
Definitely check out Chaotic every Thursday. They're streaming on Twitch.
Yes.
I was on the last episode. I had a match with Ava, which was super fun, and I will be making more appearances there. So yeah, it has been difficult because I feel like part of your self-promotion as an independent wrestler pre-pandemic was showing up to a show and helping out.
Yeah.
And that's how you would like meet potentially like the bookers who would book you for the next show. Or like sometimes you'd even like get on the show that night. My first Chaotic appearance, I was there helping out with ring crew, and Angel Sinclair had an injury, and that's how I ended up on my first Chaotic show. So I feel like as a new wrestler, having that taken away is kind of hard because, pre-pandemic, every weekend I would be at multiple shows. Whether or not I was working on the show, I would be there to help out. And that's like how you can get your name out there, and you can't do that now. I'm trying to like use the internet and like create content and like try to get bookings that way, because it's kind of the only way you can do it now. But yeah, it's definitely difficult. But yeah, I hopefully would love to return to Northeast Wrestling. If they do another season, that'd be awesome. Chaotic and Limitless, of course. So.
Yeah. And hopefully as other things, Beyond comes back. I know they're done doing shows for the year. I think, Beyond's been really good about focusing on the women and giving them time. When I talked to Miss P last night, and I'll put the clip up so you can see, but basically they're like, since Aggro wants to wrestle you and DK wants to wrestle you again, apparently like you and Davey can get together and wrestle them and beat the crap out of them, because they're totally down for that.
That would be amazing. I would love that.
Becca and Davienne, and now I assume Davey part of the Scrunchie Squad, or is she kind of on the fence? What's her?
She's kind of like on the fence. I think she's supportive of it, but I don't think she's joined it. So
okay,
yeah,
maybe there's a healthy respect. You can form an alliance, but she's not going to come all the way in.
Yeah, exactly. She's not going to put it on her wrist or in her hair. One day I'll get her there. Trust me, I will. Especially if we tag.
Yeah.
It's got to happen.
Gonna happen. One of my favorite, you talked about content. One of my, I think, favorite tweets from you is you talking about like, where the match is by like the state of your scrunchie.
I've gotten a lot. I've like figured out how to like put the scrunchie in so it doesn't just fall off immediately. Okay. Yeah. I use a lot of like dry shampoo. Okay. And like sometimes multiple like layers of scrunchies.
Really? Okay. So you kind of go one, maybe two, and then just kind of like cinch it in.
Yeah, I'll put like multiple on. And yeah, I've been having a lot better luck with my scrunchie. But it used to just fall out like
just
halfway through the match.
Is there like a lucky scrunchie that you've got?
I have like this it's in my closet right now, otherwise I'd pull it out. But it's like this like pink, like hot pink like Barbie pink scrunchie,
Okay.
and it's kind of like plasticky, and it doesn't stay in very well, so I usually have to wear it with another scrunchie, but I love it. It's my favorite one. It's just so bright. Yeah.
Nice. Do you have any like I know it's, again, because you haven't wrestled a lot, do you have any like kind of pre-match superstitions, rituals? Like some guys like do weird stuff like lace their boots a certain way or put the gear on a certain way, or kind of like, you know, even like pray or like do something. Is there anything like, not odd, but anything like particular you do maybe to kind of get you in the right place? Because I started asking folks and I'm just hearing all these different things. Like one guy like texts his mom right before every match. He's like, I'm going out. I mean, that kind of gets him in the right place. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering.
I like to like jump around just to like get my blood flowing, but I don't really think I do anything specifically. I definitely like tighten my scrunchie, but I do that kind of like in the ring too, to kind of like get hype. Um, yeah, I feel like I get a rush of energy right before a match, and I just can't help but like jump, and like sometimes I'll dance, which I've told you is not good. It's not something you want to see, but everyone in the locker room sees it anyways. So sorry.
From what I've seen of dancing in the ring, good dancing doesn't seem to be something that independent wrestlers are relatively good at. There's like, and that's not, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying,
No, that's very true.
like there are maybe 2 or 3 that I think are really good dancers. Tasha Steele's being one of them. But the
I don't think
rest,
I've seen her dance.
yeah, no, she gets down. I've seen it. Like, she jumps in the ring. She gives you like little salsa action. It's good. But in general, you know, like I think I've seen like seeing Jeremy Leary try to dance. You know, I love Jeremy to death. He's, you know, awesome performer. You know, good person, but not a great wrestler.
Have you seen Waves and Curls?
Oh yeah, Trey. Yeah, Trey. Those are my boys.
Great.
Wrestling. I've seen. I remember when like Trey was like taking tickets at the door in Northeast Wrestling shows and like just helping set up, and that's all he was doing. And I'd see him, and he'd see me, and we'd just say what's up. And then they got their shot on Northeast Wrestling one day, and just yeah, you know, there's a lot of energy with him and
Oh
him
yeah.
and Jalen.
Can't help but dance when their music comes on.
Oh
When they
yeah,
come out. Yeah.
that's it. You know what? Find you a tag team partner and wrestle waves and curls.
Oh, so down.
Whenever Jalen's back, because I know I believe he injured his arm.
Hmm.
Yeah, find a time, be it Davienne, be it whoever, you know. So I'm excited. You got stuff with Chaotic coming up. Yeah, Chaotic just kind of relaunched. I forget the name of the show, but I know it's on Twitch.
Loaded.
Loaded. Okay, Reloaded.
Yeah.
And that's all your fave Chaotic folks. Becca, thank you so much for the time tonight, because we're recording this on Saturday. Vacation Land Cup. Becca taking on Davienne along with all the other matches. It's a very great card. Becca, promote your socials or anything you got going on the internet.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at NotBasicBecca, on Instagram at It's Baby Karate. You can add me on Facebook. It's Rebecca Ann. And definitely check out Chaotic on Twitch. Chaotic TV, I think is what, or Chaotic Reloaded. I can't remember what that is, but if you look it up, you'll find it every Thursday. And Limitless Wrestling The Road every Wednesday on IWTV.
Where does the baby karate thing from? Just something random.
But yeah, quick story. I have a little sister, and I like to mess with her a lot. And one time I walked into like the kitchen or something. You know how like siblings are,
Yeah.
and you just like say weird shit to your siblings.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 3. I got 2 younger
You
sisters.
get it, yeah. So I walked in and I was like, "What's up, baby cakes?" And she was like, "It's not baby cakes, it's baby karate." And then she just punched me right in the face and like actually like hurt me.
Wow. Jeez.
And I was like, "Whoa." I thought it was hilarious. And I was like, when this was when she was younger. When she was older, I was like telling her the story, and she was making an Instagram, and I was like, you have to make that your Instagram handle. Like, it's so funny, baby karate. And she was like, no, like that's stupid. She was like, you make it your Instagram handle. So I did.
Done.
And I haven't changed it.
Folks, wrestlers are the only types that'll take getting hit in the face as a net positive and be by it. Crazy bunch of folks. Yeah. So again, Becca, thank you so much for the time, folks. Tune in to IWTV tonight. Again, Saturday. I keep saying I'm trying to get time references out of my shows, but I haven't gotten it down yet. We'll get this up. Becca's one of the young rising stars in wrestling. Look out for her. Follow her on Instagram. But don't be too intense because then you get into like Love Doug territory and nobody.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was so much fun.
I try to have a good time, and if something changes, if you have a really awesome match, I'll just reach out again and we'll loop back around. And I mean, I don't have the hair for a scrunchie, but I definitely maybe can be like a Scrunchie Squad associate.
You can always put it on your wrist.
Hey, there you go. Put it on my wrist. Again, Becca, thank you so much, and have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, like I said, this is a press. I MSP last night, you today. I've got Sam Laterna tomorrow talking about Camp Leapfrog stuff.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. So that'll be fun. And I didn't get a chance to ask you, I wanted to ask you during this. I know you haven't had much interaction with them, but with Limitless, and they've got like Leary and his whole group of guys and like Boomer and all of them. And then like having the Kaiju Big Battle types around. What's kind of, I kind of not grew up on Kaiju Big Battle, but like I was in my 20s when they were like a big thing. I don't know, like, did you have any like experience like seeing Dr. Cube again? I turned into like a drunk 22-year-old in place in Boston, like Dr. Cube. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually went to some of their Boston shows, I think before I even started training. So I've always been a big Kaiju fan, and it was really fun at the Limitless taping to see all the nonsense. It was
yeah. I mean, I've gone when I was just out of college, driving up to Boston on a whim, like, hey, let's go check this thing out at some random spot. I do remember the place I knew they used to be at the same place, but I just don't remember where in Boston it is.
Once Ballroom in Somerville.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I wasn't driving, and I certainly wasn't sober. Being able to watch like Dr. Cube and Kung Fu Chicken Noodle, awesome stuff, and then seeing them again is great. But again, Becca, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day. I'll get this up within the next couple of days, tag you, and make sure everything's in there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this was so much fun. So anytime.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Thanks.